Right, Khadija is here. Hello, Khadija. What's up?
Hi, hello. How are you, Syed?
I'm great, excellent. Thank you so much. And we've got tons of people here who are just waiting to listen to you. Oh, what happened? What just happened there?
I just took a screenshot by accident as I was trying. This is
Oh,
my
the
first time, so doing this live.
uh-huh.
All right.
Don't worry. You're
Now I
absolutely
can
fine.
see you in here.
You had better light when we were on the video call before the session.
What? Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Let's
Did
see.
you
Maybe
like
it's the
turn off?
angle. I think it's the computer.
Oh, cool. Yes, it's perfect now.
That's too much, right?
No, it's perfectly fine. Khadija, come back.
All
All
right.
right.
It's okay. It is
Cool.
what it is. Let's just flow
It
with
is
it.
what it is, absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. So we've got some great people watching us right now. I've got a ton of my friends here, Tasveer, Sophia, the great Z, Bhagwan, everybody's here. Great. G-Man's here, Arsalan,
Oh, I see.
Sagar, a lot of great people. Yes. Uh, Perfect. So let's begin the session. First of all, I welcome you to my Instagram live. We've been trying to make this happen for more than a month now, right?
Wow, yeah. Um, a little more than that, actually.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that we were finally in a position to just go ahead with the Instagram live because our topic for discussion, which is finding possibilities in times of uncertainty, was especially meant for the peak times of coronavirus. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
And I remember you had so many great ideas to proceed with the discussion and so many great ideas to discuss with the people. So, what I'll do, I'll not waste any time and I'll just jump into the conversation so that you can share all those ideas with the people and people can just, start taking value. How
All
does
right.
that sound?
Sounds
Cool.
great. Sounds good.
So before we begin with the session, I would just like you to take a moment and introduce yourself, tell my guests about uh, who you are, what you do, and anything else that you would like to share.
Yeah, so my name is Khadija. I am based in Bahrain, and my original background was in marketing. And then I've been through a lot of transitions and changes in my life. In other words,
Mhm.
motherhood. And I switched from being a product manager into actually into like human development. And
Mhm.
that's when coaching landed in my lap, and I needed a coach. There was a time in my life where I was stuck, and I just didn't know any way forward, because it's like, should I go back to the corporate world and continue where I left off after all these years during my maternity leave,
Mhm.
or should I just, try something new and be independent and do my own thing? And that stage when you don't know how to move forward because it's like something new and it's out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
It wasn't a fun stage to be in, but
Yep.
when you stick around a bit longer, then it's just, coaching landed. I hired a coach to actually coach me, my dear friend. Her name is
Mhm.
Khadija, and she coached me. And at the end of it, she told me, you know what, you have all it takes to be a coach yourself. And
Mhm.
yeah, and at first I ignored it for a few years, and then I was like, let's give it a try. I can use it for myself and for my children if it's not going to be something big later on. Yeah, so 3 years later, I'm still here, and yeah, so I'm an ICF certified coach right now, and I help people get out of that stuck phase, just like I was back then. So
Mhm.
it's really my
So,
passion.
so you're a super mom. You're taking care of your kids, and you're a business person as well. You're running your coaching practice, and you're doing a lot of pro bono work as well. You mentioned to me earlier. So you're basically a social angel as well. You're uh, you're helping a lot of people become better in life, aren't you?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say super angel. It's just, I think when you initially go into coaching, I think your first intention is usually to make an impact and to make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it comes from. But yeah, so I think everyone has their own way and their own way how they do their impact on this world. So this is just, right now, this is just, I guess, where I am. What about you, Syed? Where are you right now?
Yes. Cool. So I was about to introduce myself to the people who are joining in from your end, and I see that there are a lot of people here who are saying hello to you, and that's beautiful. So my name is Syed Sunny Karhani. I am the founder and CEO of Indian Training Company. My company is providing training and coaching services for organizations and individuals all around the world. And it is our goal to become the world's leading provider of training and coaching services for organizations and individuals, especially in the emerging economies. And we want to do that as soon as possible because around the world, there are just so many people who are in need of world-class training and coaching services, and they're not able to access it. So that is, actually, this is one of the primary reasons why I'm connecting with leaders in the coaching and training industry all around the world, leaders like you. And that's why I'm connecting to you guys, so that maybe through me, you can provide your services to people around the world, and people can just benefit. So that's a little bit about what I do, and that's a little bit about what Indian Training Company is. And I'm sure that through this great idea, through this great partnership that I'm developing with people, we will be able to touch and provide value to millions of lives. So that's a little bit about me. Now, Khadija, let's jump into our conversation. Today's topic is finding possibilities in times of uncertainty. And 2020 started great, and in our earlier conversations, we've shared how I was supposed to be in Saudi Arabia right now, and you told me that you were supposed to be at different places and you had a different agenda for this time of the year. However, we're stuck here because of COVID-19. So let's just start by talking about what do people do? What should an individual do when they find themselves stuck in a situation?
Yeah. I see my friends here. Can I say quickly hi? Hi,
Please, by all
Dunya.
means.
Hi, Zainab. Hi, Zahra. Noha. Anyways, I'm so happy you guys are all here. Yeah, so being stuck is not fun at all. And it is okay to say that you're not okay. It is okay to say, I'm stuck, and to recognize that. And uncertainty is, according to neuroscience, uncertainty gets treated in your mind as like a big threat. So it is a scary place, right? When you just don't know how to move forward and what to do, and everybody reacts differently. So there's some people, there's like, the three responses to threats, the flight, fight, and freeze. So you'll see some people, oh my God, look at her. She's all calm and quiet. And how can she do that right now during this crisis? And you might be surprised. She's probably, or he's probably just as scared as you, but because they're freezing, their response is to freeze. Their response is just to shut down. Then you would have these other people who would be like, others, they would fight against it. They would just resist this state and keep fighting, and they would be agitated and easily angry. And then there's others around you that might just avoid it completely. They would just never talk about it. Like, I lost my job, but guess what? I will never talk about it. They could have lost their job for like 4 months, 5 months, and they have never shared it with anyone yet, just because they're avoiding this feeling, this uncertainty and the stuckness. So I think the first thing that you can do, the first thing that we do in coaching when someone is stuck is just like take a pause, like give yourself that space and give yourself like a moment to recognize this and to just notice yourself, like notice how you feel, notice how your thoughts, you know, what kind of thoughts you have, and just get an overall awareness of yourself, you know. Try not to fight it too much. Try to I think the best ideas come when you're still. So yeah, so I guess just finding that presence and that stillness to, first of all, understand your situation, you know, what's happening to me right now.
Yeah.
And
So that's I'm sorry. So yes, please continue. I did not mean to interject
at all. I mean, if you have any other things that comes to mind, this is the sharing.
I was just saying that,
just talking.
yes, you just mentioned being still. So my question was that a lot of people have lost their jobs during this time, and a lot of people have, you know, received major setbacks during the times of COVID. So, and they're experiencing major periods of the stillness that you're talking about. And although it's not a stillness that people like voluntarily brought upon themselves, but it's just a stillness that was forced upon them. So to people who have lost their jobs and to people who are finding the future uncertain, what would you say to them? What would you say to help them?
Well, the first thing I would ask them, you know, is to recognize that there are some things, you know, that you can control and some things that are just completely out of your control. So maybe it would be a good idea to just sit down and be like, okay, what part of this situation is out of my control? And I just basically, you can even draw a circle, you know, what's out of my control, and have a circle for what's in my control, and just list all the things that you have no control over, but they still bother you. And then look at the other side and be like, okay, what is in my control right now? What is in my hands? What do I have power over, you know? Because we're never completely helpless, and we're never completely left with nothing. I mean, you still have yourself, right? You still have your own set of skills and your set of knowledge, and that's something nobody can take away from you. And also the way you respond is also the what you can control. The way I respond, I mean, I could completely, you know, shut down, or I could be angry, I could be this, and we've all done it before. We all do this. But at some point you're like, if you want to see possibilities, okay, what can I do, and what can I do now? What's a small thing that I can do now? Because people get overwhelmed when you tell them, what's your plan? And then you're like, wait a minute, I'm stuck. How am I supposed to have a big plan for the future right now when I have lost everything? But I think in a lot of coaching sessions, we do this. We do like, what's a small step you can take now just to make things better? So someone is, that's actually my husband. He's like, tell the people about the half-filled cup theory. Always think of the filled part. Okay. Yeah. Life is
so share that with us, please.
I mean, I'm sure you know it. I mean, we can look at the same problem, at the same issue, but have a totally different perspective. And sometimes it helps to change your perspective a bit by just, you know, taking a step back and just being still. I mean, the best ideas come to you when you're still, you know. And so there's nothing wrong with asking for help as well, you know. Like sometimes if you're stuck and you can't move forward, really, there's nothing wrong if you just say, hey, I'm not okay and I need some help and I need some support.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. So there are three things that you've just shared. Number one was it's completely fine to ask for help. Before that, you talked about you know, that there are certain things that are in our control, then there are certain things that are out of our control. And we should focus on the things that we can control. We should not try and control the things that we cannot control. For example, I say there are three things especially: weather, health, time. Actually, four things: weather, health, age, and time. I call it the WHAT. So weather, health, age,
I
and
like
time.
that.
WHAT.
I
Yeah. So
like
the
it.
WHAT
Weather,
is
health.
it's age and time.
Yes.
And a lot of people make excuses based on these four things. And
Mm.
I did not do it because it was too hot. I did not do it because it was too cold, or it was raining, so I could not go. My health did not allow me to do it, or I'm too old to start, or I'm too young to start, or it's just not the right time in my life to do something new. So when people keep blaming all these things. So, and you're very right. These are uncontrollable factors. No matter how much we try, no matter how much we try and control these things, they're always out of our control. So we should not focus on the uncontrollable things. Rather, we should focus on what we can control. And I believe what we can control is our own actions and how we respond to certain situations. And the first thing that you said was actually the third thing that you said was we should not be afraid of asking for help. And between there, you also mentioned, you know, just taking a moment and taking a moment of that stillness and focusing on that stillness in order to find your best self. So let me drag another question out of there. A lot of people have been like living with their families for long times during COVID-19, home forced vacations. And a lot of people have also developed this cabin fever because of just staying at home. And when you live with one person for a long time, or when you're like living in closed rooms, closed doors for extended periods of time, there are, there's tend to develop some sort of friction, and people start fighting. So, how to avoid those conflicts at home and in families when people are just confined?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big thing because we all now live our life in the same space. And, it's very challenging, I have to say. I mean, people do their work, they do their studies, they do their personal life, they have their children growing up in the same house. Spouses now share more space than ever. Before, everyone had their own little space, and now we're in each other's spaces all day. So I think the first thing is to just let's have some compassion, I guess.
Mhm.
Just realizing that, just have compassion with yourself as well. Like, have compassion with the fact that, you know what, everyone in this house right now is not really in their comfort zone. Everyone right now is trying to navigate and see where they find their space and where they can be themselves. So I think if we bring in a culture of understanding and compassion, and
Yeah.
not always trying to be perfect, this pressure to be perfect, this pressure that everything has to
Yeah.
be in its spot. And I'm guilty of that, by the way. I'm a recovering perfectionist. So I have
Okay.
to admit, in the beginning, it's really difficult because there's a certain way that you have been doing things, and there's a certain way you've been performing. And now all of a sudden it's flipped upside down. So
Mhm.
I think communication and just admitting and saying, okay, I'm not that comfortable, you're not comfortable, the kids are not comfortable. Let's
Yeah.
how can we make the space, what do you need? Just asking someone, what do you need?
Mhm.
I mean, we could go on and on, but just like being aware that you're not alone in this, and there's other people with you, and you matter, and they matter. You are all like your own ecosystem now together. So, and it's interesting,
Wonderful.
every family does it differently.
Yeah.
Every family is going to figure out their own way. There is no perfect way.
Yeah, I loved what you said. So again, Cosmic Chaos, Nikhat has also pointed out to the same thing. Recovering perfectionist. That was a beautiful phrase that you just coined. And I believe that perfection is anyway. It's an illusion because we consider something perfect right now. For instance, uh, maybe like 10 years back, 20 years back, it was a dream for us to build something as great as the Burj Khalifa. And I'm talking about mankind, not me personally. So when people built the Burj Khalifa, it became the symbol of a perfect building. Um, but it passes on quickly because as soon as you achieve one feat, another feat is visible. So perfection is it's something that you keep chasing always. It's an illusion, as someone said. I think Sophia said this. Another thing that you mentioned was something very important, and I wholeheartedly agree that communication is of utmost importance, and without communication, it's uh, it's just impossible for a relationship to flourish. And you mentioned that people should hear each other out, and so there's someone here. He's a great mentor to me, and he's a great mentor to a lot of people. His name is Syed and he recently wrote a book about marriage counseling. And in that whole book, he talks about how conversations can help people. So just taking a moment to vocalize your truths, and just taking a moment to listen to other people's truths, just it goes a long way. And as long as you're sharing those deep dark secrets, or those things that otherwise would have developed into pent up angers, I think you're progressing. Now, moving on in the conversation, it was I think in one of our email discussions that we discussed about personal transformation strategies. And since you're an executive coach, you've talked to me about how you're coaching people in helping them navigate their careers, and you're also coaching a lot of people, helping them improve their lives. And I know that there are no one fits all personal transformation strategies. But still, if you were to talk about personal transformation strategies, especially in these turbulent times, what would those strategies be?
I think the first thing that I would say, and all coaches would do, is you need to know yourself. Okay, you need to understand yourself and who are you? What do you believe in? What are your strengths, and what values do you want to have with you as you go through this challenge? I mean, and actually this week I've been working a lot on my own values with a group of friends, because we noticed that our life has been changing, and we have new awarenesses now with this COVID-19. And maybe my old beliefs and the values that I held so dearly before now take a different order or different ranking. So as you're transforming, it's not just a push of a button. Okay, I'm going to be this, and I want to be this, and then you push the button and you change. There's a lot of self-discovery, self-awareness that goes with it. In my coaching sessions, people first understand themselves, what they do, what they enjoy doing, where do they flow, and where do they feel their best. Yeah. So not a lot of people have the luxury. It's a luxury, right? It's a luxury to actually sit with yourself and explore yourself as you choose your next step. And I think this is a possibility right now, since we have been forced to stop. I mean, we have been, people lost their jobs, and people had to change course and the way of life. So now we have this luxury. I'm going to call it luxury, because you have no other way other than understanding yourself right now and knowing where you fit into this world, and a value that you might have had in the beginning. Like, a lot of people used to value success and, let's say, financial success and all of that. And now people are like, no, my health, my family is more important. My growth, my connections. So it depends. Every person is just different. And there are many tools that coaches use, and they are endless. And there is a lot of literature on how you figure out your values, how you figure out your strengths. And then it's about you being just brave and
Yeah.
being honest with yourself and take that bold step of, you know, okay, now it's up to me. I have to change. I have to honor what I said, you know. I committed, I said I'll do this, but now it's up to me to commit and to step forward. And that step is usually the hardest step.
Yep.
But it's
I completely agree. And
it's really worth it.
it is absolutely worth it. And you talked about being brave. I was listening to Robin Sharma earlier, and he was talking about being brave. And I've realized this in my own transformation journey, that it's so important for you to be brave. It's just important for you to accept yourself for who you are, and just, you know, just for once take in all the air around you and just scream, because you have to do that in order to be heard. And you just have to be brave in order to pass through the adversities, especially when we're going through tragic times, when we're going through times of uncertainty. It is imperative for us to become really brave, because if we would not do that, we would be absolutely scared to just take the first step forward. Now, someone asked here a question. They said, "What are your values?" And I think this was Essence Mastery. Essence Mastery is asking, "What are your
Yeah, that's my dear
values?"
friend. My dear friend.
So you wanna answer
Where's the
Essence
question?
Mastery, Khadija? So the question is here. I'm just gonna pin it. Wait.
Yeah,
What
because
are
really,
your values?
yeah, what are your values? And you know, values are very intimate. You know, finding your values is a very intimate process. And sometimes people say the value that everyone accepts. Yeah, it's like they will just copy and say all the values that everyone is talking about, and they say, I'm this and this and that. But in reality, your value is eventually just what really you do. You know, your actions speak for your values. So what are your values? It's the best question ever. For me, there are many values. I can give you some examples. Connection. Honesty is in value. Honesty with yourself, not lying to yourself. That you are a certain way. I mean, that's the one I struggle with. Like honesty, like saying the truth and facts, that's easy, right? It's easier. But being honest with yourself is probably the hardest thing. Like, and it's very important. I mean, what are some of your values? I mean, there's so many. Like,
Yes, absolutely. I live by 6 values: honesty, sincerity, punctuality, empathy, kindness, and gratitude. Those are 6 things that I live by: honesty, sincerity, punctuality, empathy, kindness, and gratitude. And I believe that you need to be honest. You need to be honest with yourself. You need to be honest with the world out there. You need to be sincere in whatever you're doing, because a lot of people are just not caring enough. They're just not sincere enough about the things that they're doing.
yeah.
People are not punctual. You know, I go for meetings and I hate it when people make me wait or people don't show up, because, dude, you're not respecting my time. But what I see is that you're not respecting your time. You're not there to honor your commitment. And I talk about empathy, kindness, and gratitude over and over again, and people will really throw virtual tomatoes at me if I'm going to talk about empathy, kindness, and gratitude again. But you know, empathy is the antidote for all the hatred in this world. Kindness is the utmost important thing. It's like a thread that joins one human to another, and gratitude is the antibiotic for sadness. So if anybody is feeling low,
Beautiful.
sad, whatever, let down, people start feeling grateful. They start journaling. They start writing what they're grateful for. Their sadness goes away like this. So yeah, so those are my 6 values. Okay, real
Fantastic.
quick, let's take
Can
another
I can
question.
I can
Stop
I
the
copy them over and take them as well? Because
Yes, yes, please.
definitely
There,
these
there.
values.
Those are
Um,
freebies.
You know, sometimes you have a value, but you're not aware that you have it. And actually that now that you mentioned these values, I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, these are my values too. So this is why it's important to be aware and put them down. And I have one of my friends here. We are actually working on this now to actually, I love how you were so clear on your values. You see, somebody asked you, what are your values? And you were just upfront about it. So,
yeah.
And it's really important.
It took me a lot of time to get there, actually.
And it helps you make future decisions too. So whenever you're faced with a situation where you need to make a decision and where you need to evaluate, okay, what's my next step? These values act like, they are kind of like your compass, you know? Because if these values don't check out, then why would you do this next, you know? For example, just last week, I had to say no, just a few days ago, actually, I had to say no to a really, to an offer. That was actually amazing, okay? It was actually, initially, I wanted to say yes. And then I thought about it. If I say yes, it will value growth and connection value, but it will diminish my integrity and my connection with the other, with the other values that I had, because so I had to say no. I said, sorry, if I sign up with you, then I cannot honor my commitments and I cannot work with integrity in the other areas that I promised that I will show up. So I'm sorry, I have too much on my plate. This sounds great, but because of this, I'm sorry, I have to like say no to this. So, and we're always faced with new opportunities, and sometimes we just want to jump in and take every opportunity that comes along. So your values can help you like determine, you know, does this fit who I am or not?
That's so true. Now, Stop Taboos had another question for you. How can we stop overthinking?
Wow. I'm an overthinker myself. So, but things that, because look, overthinkers have a lot of tools to help them survive in this world. Okay. So again, remember how there's a lot of things that you can do to, usually when you don't have a lot of information, your mind wanders off and comes up with all these stories and comes up with all these things to fill up the gap of your information. So sometimes it helps to just bring yourself back to the now, right now. You know, if are you talking about overthinking, what, like anxiety?
Yeah, so Stop Taboos' question was that we are, hang on, let me just pull up that question. So it was something like how to stop overthinking. These days, people have too much time and they are doing too much thinking.
Yes.
So people are just at home, they don't have too much to do. So, you know, the brain keeps constantly running, and it happens to a lot of people. So how to just stop that? That's a good question, I believe.
It's a very good question. I think sometimes just get into an action, you know, like inaction causes you to overthink, you know, like sometimes, you know, sometimes you wait till you're motivated to do something. But I think this is Mark Manson. He said, the action itself is also a motivation. So, you know, start instead of overthinking is also related either to the past or the future. So either you're thinking about your past actions. Oh my God, I made a mistake. I should not have done this. Oh my goodness, how, you know, yeah, like she said, blame, like Hala said, blame. Or you are anxious about the future and you come up with all these ways how things can go wrong and how life, you know, all these obstacles that will come along. So try to be present by journaling, for example. Journaling really helps declutter your mind. Like declutter all these thoughts by actually putting them down and write down what you're thinking. And as you read it, you start to actually feel like you have, you know, it feels like you actually unloaded them on a piece of paper. And later on, you can read it again, and then you can fact check. You can be like, oh my God, no, half of this is not even true. Or maybe some of it is true, and what can I do about it? What are some steps I can do? And what else? I mean, people love to do meditations. I mean, meditations can help. Breathing, just remember breathing.
Yep.
It's
that
simple.
helps big time.
I mean, there are many ways people stay in the present: praying, exercising. But I really think if you have a lot of thoughts, if you have a lot of ongoing thoughts, I think it helps to put them down and to examine them and see what part of this is true and what is not. And if it is true, what can I do about it?
Absolutely, absolutely. And although it becomes really difficult for people at a lot of times to just figure out what is true, what is not, and what is good, what is not. And a lot of people are also kind of stuck in that confusion of what is good and what is bad. And I think a lot of this confusion is stemming up from our conditioned beliefs, because we've been taught a certain things while growing up, and when we grow up, we start experiencing the world on our own. And I think it's happening more with people who were born after the late 70s and such, because they're more accustomed to using technology, and they're more prone to getting visited by conflicting views. And I think that's a good thing, because you grow up with certain beliefs, and when you're at a certain age, let's say you're 30 years old, and you go on the internet and you encounter something which goes extremely against your beliefs, and you're suddenly, it's just like a slap on your face. You're like, dude, I've always believed that this was wrong, and how can this person do it, and how can this person do it and then say that this is the right thing to do? So this whole debate of right and wrong and good and bad, it's a long one. I would not go there. But I'm just bringing that up to let people know that I know sometimes it will be difficult for you to know what is the right thing to do. And I have a mantra for it. And what I do is I see what gives me happiness. So if you're doing something and that action is bringing you physical and mental comfort, then that action is right for you. And if you want to expand that to a global level, so just see if your action promotes life. If your action promotes life, then your action is good. If your action kind of is against life, then your action is probably not that good. So just combine these two things. One, if your action is bringing you physical and mental comfort, and if your action is good for life, then probably your action is the right action, the good action. If not, then it's probably not the best one. What do you think about this, Khadija?
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. And it's very simple. You said it. I mean, I'm speechless. I'm going to be honest.
All right. So my final question for you is, I'm sorry. Yes, you were saying something.
Also, just quickly saying right and wrong, good or bad. There's no such, yani, how can I say? If it is, as you said, moving you and everything around you into a place where you are comfortable and where you are happy with yourself and where you feel that, you are better. Can you see me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. So you're basically the one who knows in the end. You check against yourself and your inner voice. You're very much wiser than you think you are. When you're still and you listen to that inner wisdom and the truth, you know what's right and you know what's not. So it's just trust yourself.
That's so true. And I think just trust yourself and just go for it. When I say go for it, I mean just take action. I think this is a great starting point for our a great action plan, I should say, for our discussion today, finding possibilities in times of uncertainty. So a great way to finding possibilities in times of uncertainty is to just take action and as you said earlier, that also asking for help. Uh, what I was going to ask you earlier was, what do you think is happiness, and how can people become more happy? What do you think?
I think happiness is a misleading word. What do you think?
Hmm.
Like, what is, happiness is quite misleading, because happiness
Hmm.
could be simply pleasure, or it could
Hmm.
be joy, or it could
Hmm.
be contentment, So I think happiness is a very elusive word. It's not,
Hmm.
a lot of times happiness is not the end itself. Happiness
Hmm.
could be a product of another goal. But if you just chase happiness, that means that you're just chasing comfort. And if
Hmm.
you chase comfort, that means you will not move on. You will just stay where you are. Or, I mean, I think we just need to understand, what does happiness mean to you? I think we need to go in a step further and a step deeper. What does, happiness could mean just being united with my loved ones, or it could be overcoming a challenge. That could
Hmm.
mean happiness to some people. Happiness could mean just a nice walk in the afternoon where it's peaceful and I'm all alone to myself. So
Hmm.
how can we achieve that happiness? I think you have to define it. What is it that brings you the joy? What is it, that feeling of, how can I say, you can't have happiness without any form of, you can't have happiness or joy without any form of struggle or suffering. So if you
Hmm.
want happiness or joy, that means you're going to be willing to suffer for that or sacrifice for it. So yeah, it's kind of, I don't know. What do you think? It seems like a very tricky place to talk about what's happiness.
Yeah, my views are slightly different than your views on happiness, but that's why I asked you this question, because I'm always open to new views. Uh, Arshi said something that matches with what you said. Happiness is a journey, not the destination, and that's, I think, is what is
Yeah.
true. Uh, so before we close the session, Khadija, can you just talk about three key takeaways from today's session, especially related to finding possibilities in times of uncertainty?
Pause, know
Hmm.
yourself, and once you know yourself, then take that leap of faith, take that action, and it's okay to be scared. We all are, but
Yeah.
you will
Hmm.
never find out what will happen if you don't do that next step. So, and ask for help. You can have the people,
That's,
you don't have to do it alone.
yeah. I think we were
What
never
about
meant to
you?
do it alone.
What about you? I love to
Yeah,
hear.
I'll just talk about that. I was saying that we were never meant to do it alone, but what happened was that our ego came in between, and uh, I wrote this as a quote on one of my social media channels a few years back, that we often keep competing with the people that we're supposed to collaborate with. So I think that's so true even in life, not just in professional things, in personal things as well, that we're always competing with people, whereas a simpler solution is just to collaborate with them. So the three key takeaways for me in this from this session, and of course aligned to finding possibilities, is number one, take the moment of stillness as an opportunity. If you're going through a rough time, do not think that whether this rough time will end or not. Instead, think about how you will leverage this rough time in order to champion yourself for a better tomorrow. Because this rough time is obviously going to end, right? It's not forever. Good times end, and so do bad times. So if you're going through a bad time, it's definitely going to end. So what you need to be focused on is how you're going to leverage this hard time in order to become a champion and become the A player that you're supposed to become. Step number two, the second learning that I took from this session is take action. Do not sit back. Do not sit in your chair and think that, life has hit me with lemons and I'm a loser. I cannot do anything. No, you don't have to think that. You just have to go for it. If people are hitting you with lemons, shoes, bricks, whatever, nuclear bombs, I don't know. You have to rise, you have to stand up, you have to walk, because till the time you don't walk, you will never reach your destination. And point number three is something which I strongly believe in, and as you also said, that we should never be afraid of asking for help. Ask for help, man. Come on. That's what I'm here for. That's what Khadija is here for. That's what a lot of coaches out there are here for. Just ask questions, and people will not ask you for $50, $100, or whatever, $5,000. I don't know what Tony Robbins charges people for his advice, but even Tony Robbins will not charge you $1 million for just one teeny tiny question. Or Gary Vaynerchuk is always ready to help people. Just go on, ask Gary V and ask him a question. Or maybe if you do not want to ask Gary V, come on guys, you can ask me this question. You can ask Khadija this question. We're always ready to help you. So ask people and you shall receive, as the saying goes, right? Ask and you shall receive. And I think this is a great closure for me from the three things that I was talking about. That's what I've learned in today's session.
You summed it up very beautifully.
Thank you so much, Khadija, and thank you so much for joining me today. It was a pleasure interacting with you. Before you go, can you please tell people how can they find you? Where can they find you?
Okay. First of all, I want to thank you, Syed, for believing in me and pushing me to do this. I've never done a live before, and I am a very camera shy person. So you made this process really smooth and really that's the support that we're talking about. Like I told him, look, I don't do this. I don't usually go on camera, and it's an uncomfortable place. But he supported me and walked me through it, and I'm glad that we were able to do this eventually. So thank you. And you said where can find me? I'm on Instagram right now, so you can reach me, DM me directly. And if you have any question about coaching and what it, how it can support you and what it's all about, and just drop me a hi and we can talk about it.
Awesome. So, just thanking the guests really quickly. Thank you so much.
And thank you guys for attending, and thank you for your amazing comments and your support. I mean, it means a lot.
It means a lot. Thank you, G. Thank you, Z. Thank you, Sudesh Nalabi. Thank you, Sagar, Arsalan, everybody who joined in. Sufia, Shoaib, Tasveer. Thank you so much, everyone. Good night and take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.